Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honors to the Most High Yahweh and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and our Wadash, which is the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopefully elect. It's the brother I now back with another lesson, Lord willing, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. It pierces the ears of the elect, and they be edified. Now, I ran across this article, just giving light on the coming troubles that we as Jacobites are going to face in the near future. And that will put our faith to the test to see if we're going to rely on the Heavenly Father's provisions. Now we know that the Heavenly Father is going to provide for His children. And, on this side, His true children, Israel of the Most High, right, is the elect of Israel. Okay, and those are the ones He's going to protect and provide on this side. All right. So I'm going to jump in this article real quick, bring out some points and some scriptures, Lord willing, this edifying. Okay. This is the Independent, published one day ago. It says food shortages are already here. The government needs to tell us the truth. And, when you go into that word government, okay, that breaks down to mind control. Okay, so the government is involved with controlling the minds of the people. Okay, and one way to do that is to not tell the truth. Matter of fact, your government here in Babylon the Great has never told you the truth. They've been lying to you the entire time they've been in existence. This country is built on lies, right? So it's no marvel that they'd be lying to you about the real issues that's going on right now inside this country, in this kingdom, right? It says, if you know where to look, there are signs everywhere of how food insecure Britain is becoming. Now, Britain is the mother of Babylon the Great, birthed her. Okay, America got independence from Britain, right? So whatever happens to Britain, because Britain is part of the beast system, is going to eventually come over here, right? So a good place to start is in the supermarket aisles, where you watch people peer at the label, wince, and move on, right? For staples, bread, milk, eggs, meat, particularly, is becoming an unaffordable treat. Okay, and that's because, of everything that's happening. It says supermarkets have long ago mastered the art of the magician's stealth when it comes to shelf illusions and moving displays around, nudging consumers to rethink choices. For years, they will be one of the last places that admits there is a problem. You see that? I'll read that again. They will be one of the last places that admits there is a problem. Okay, just because they want your money, they're not going to, let you know that products are in short supply. They're going to move around the shelves and, pull things to the front, you know, make stock, stock displays like magicians, man. Okay. Which this place is full of, you know, magic, if you will, necromancy and all this bullshit. Okay. It says British consumers are becoming numb to the use of cardboard displays as well as a bombardment of random products that are in stock at the front entrance to shops. But look closely enough and you will see their sleight of hand. And sleight of hands is another way of saying magic, trickery, which we know this devil, Esau Edom, so-called white man, is great at. Okay? Shelves are becoming emptier and supply is certainly more volatile, right? Um, Let me get this real quick. Revelation 6 and start at 5. It says, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts. Okay, in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So you see, Revelation 6 and 6 is basically talking about a time of super hyperinflation, okay, to where the money that you're paying for the food is not even worth the amount of food that you're getting. You know, the food as opposed to the money is ridiculously unbalanced. Okay. I got this this AI overview. It says the price of groceries in 2026 versus the price of groceries in 2006. It says grocery prices have surged significantly over the past 2 decades, while exact costs vary by region and brand. Historical data and viral receipt comparisons reveal that a cart of groceries costing $161.87 in 2006 now costs well over $400 in 2026, which that's over 2 times. Okay, it's more than doubled. Okay, representing a cumulative inflation increase of roughly 62%, right? 62% inflation right there in 2 decades, right? That's over 50%. It says item level price comparisons, specific viral receipts from the mid 2000s highlight dramatic shifts in everyday consumer goods. And, it goes into, some examples. Lay's potato chips, which, shouldn't be eating that shit, but yeah. Lay's potato chips, a 326 gram bag cost roughly $199 in 2006, whereas a smaller 235 gram bag in 2026, about $3.47. Shrinkflation. All right, let's see what that means. Let's get that word real quick. Shrinkflation is a stealthy, meaning covert, meaning hidden business practice where companies reduce the size, weight, or quantity of a product while keeping its retail price the same. Manufacturers use this tactic to quietly offset rising production and raw material costs while attempting to preserve profit margins and avoid the consumer backlash of a direct price hike. See that? So they're giving you less and charging you more. A bag of chips these days is full of air. You might as well put your mouth to the bag and suck up some air, because that's what you're going to get to fill your stomach. You ain't going to get what you thought you was going to get. Shrinkflation, right? Right. Um, yeah, I'll skip that. So let's go into this food bank, you know. So I typed in food banks dependency versus food banks dependency 2006 versus 2026. It says food bank dependency has transitioned from a emergency, okay, from an emergency stopgap measure in 2006 to a chronically strained semi-permanent pillar of household survival in 2026. See that? I'll read that again. Food bank dependency has transitioned from an emergency stopgap. People used to go to the food bank because they had emergencies. You know, they were low on food this month. Maybe they had to make ends meet, so they went to the food bank this month. Okay, but then at the end of the month, they got back right. They got back, on their feet. They good, right? But now it says stopgap measure in 2006 to a chronically dependent, it's like chronically strained, semi-permanent pillar of household survival in 2026. Okay, so now people depend on these food banks permanently now. This shift is primarily driven by inflation, okay, with grocery costs soaring over thousand more per family, and massive reduction in federal welfare. Okay, the teats are drying up. Okay, that vintage is not coming right now. Right, it says which dropped SNAP enrollment by millions. See that? 2006 emergency and supply use primary role. Food banks function primarily as temporary relief for a southern crisis, job loss, which that's a lot going on right now. Job loss, laying off, okay, companies closing, localized disasters, which there's a lot of that now. Hurricanes, cyclones, earthquakes, different type of um, disasters, which the Lord is just bringing His judgment, right? It says rather than a regular monthly budgeting tool. Okay, it says volume and traffic. Client numbers were largely predictable. Food banks typically distributed staple items, relying heavily on seasonal drives and corporate donations. Welfare interaction. Reliance on charitable food was usually short term, bridging the gap while individuals access robust federal programs or seasonal employment. Okay, now we're gonna turn that was 2006, but now we're gonna go to 2026. How shit is now. It says chronic strain and welfare gaps. Primary role: food banks act as a long-term supplements to basic survival. They frequently serve as a substitute for lost or reduced government food assistance for vulnerable and working class families. Volume and traffic demand frequently outpace supplies. Okay, agencies rely regularly support surges in visits as high as 1800%. Damn, in specific regions, exacerbated ex- exasper, exacerbated uh, by higher food prices and tightening of the federal SNAP eligibility guidelines. Food chain supplies. Food banks now struggle to source enough stable products and proteins due to an increase in repeat long-term clients and less surplus inventory from retailers. See that? So the vintage, which I mentioned that on the Esau Edom's watch. All right, and this is says women, but this can be um, applied to you know many families, or whatever. But 32, Isaiah 32, and I'm gonna start at 9. It says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease," because these women right now are at ease. For a while, the government has been providing them with multiple um, avenues of benefits because you know they had uh, a large part in breaking and you know separating families because they were taking these benefits, right, instead of sticking by their men and working through certain things, issues with their men. They chose the easy way out. Okay, it says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice. Ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come." Right? "Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, careless ones. Strip you and make you bare. and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Okay, you you had it easy for a while now, even to the point where you say you don't need a man. You're independent. Okay, okay, vintage. Okay, clipped. That is grape crop. Okay, the crops, the food bank, these benefits that allow you to get, food vouchers, and, you can slide up to the grocery stores with a bunch of food stamps, okay, and receive benefits, man. Them days are over, right? Um, Scriptures tell you what, the Lord is going to make an example, you know, when Jacob's trouble hit, there's going to be a great example of how not to be. If you don't know the name of the Yahweh Shem Shai and you can't call upon his name for help, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Okay, and our people know this, man. We've been through this before, many times, really, man. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. Lamentations 4:9, it says, "They that be slain by the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field." Okay, these people, you know, what Esau has in store to starve and bring you to the point where you're ready, primed and proper to take that sea hip. Okay, he has a plan to corral you, okay, to leave you for dead, just enough so you can come to him and beg him to put that sea hip in you, man. And that's the point of this thing, man. Esau's been known to ration food, okay, so he can bring you to the point of submission, man. Okay, and that's gonna cause what? A large-scale famine. Okay, unlike anything that has been in this world before, right? And the entire plot is to get you to take this sea hit, man, and that's the relief, okay, that he's going to present to you. But the men of Yahweh Shem Shai, um, promises that his men are going to be taken care of, man. All right, this is Isaiah 65. Start at 12. Therefore I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, which the Lord is calling right now, okay, mercy, the hand of mercy is being extended right now through the prophets on the highways and byways, okay, making it, they're calling it elections, sure, by speaking the words of Yahweh Shem Shai and giving our people, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the good news. All right, and the good news is the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai sent His Son, okay, to die and raised Him up, okay, for a sacrificial lamb for us to be, made in good standing with Him again. And a lot of y'all are not taking the opportunity right now to consider that, right? And actually meditate on that and take Him up on this offer. But the hand that He's extending right now in mercy is going to be a hand that eventually will turn into fury and indignation. And you don't want to be at the other end of that, right? It says, because when I called, ye did not answer. You didn't answer. Okay? Which the prophets on the highways and byways are calling, okay? And you're not answering. You look at the phone, and I'm making a analogy. You look at the phone and you see, when you look at the phone, who's calling, and it says spam to you. To your eyes, it says spam. To the eyes of the elect, okay, it's emergency, SOS. It says, He did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. And that's a lot of you, the majority of y'all, man. 2/3 of y'all are doing that right now. Okay, it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servants shall eat. All right, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrows of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Okay? And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for the Lord power shall slay thee, and call His servants by another name. See that? So the Lord is going to prefer His chosen, okay? Just like the Lord has a favorite tree, the olive tree, favorite bird, the dove, a favorite pit, Israel, okay, Jerusalem, a favorite people, Israel. But in this time, it's the elect that's His favorite, all right? So, you got to think, man, all during COVID, there were supply chains affected by COVID. Okay, and now we have the Strait of Hormuz being affected. That's a supply chain. Things are not going from one side of the earth to the other, to smoothly provide food and fertilizer and oil to have those factories in places that produce certain foods, have what they need to produce food. I mean, the power, the supply chain is all fucked up right now, man. And that's the Lord's doing, man. The Lord's judgment. But the Lord is going to make sure His elect eats, drinks, and is happy, man. Because they chose, the Lord gave them the Spirit on them to, do this work, and they've been faithful, Lord willing, I'm of that number, okay? So I just wanted to give you an exhortation and a warning through the spirit of power and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Lord willing, this is edifying. Until next time, say shalom.